Should we restart that?
Is everything okay?
Talon's water bottle.
We are here today for the trial of Mary Maloney. She is fulfilling her husband Patrick Maloney. Prosecution, are you ready with your opening statement?
Yep.
Come to the front.
We are gathered here today to give Patrick Maloney justice. We are going to show you that Mary Maloney planned this assault even though she was told some bad news soon before the attack, and that she was obviously not in shock. She obviously knew what she was doing because it says at that point, Mary Maloney simply walked up behind him and without any pause, she swung the big frozen leg of Liam high in the air and brought it down as hard as she could on the back of his head. This clearly states that she knew what she was doing and that she meant to kill him with brought it down as hard as she could. You will continue to be assured that this was a cold-blooded murder with our points from the witnesses, the psychologist, Mary herself, Sam, and Officer Noonan.
Defense, your opening statement, please.
Okay, Mary Maloney's husband slammed the news on her that they were getting a divorce, and she was in complete shock. Who, in the right mind, would say, "No, I've killed him." Mary Maloney was temporarily insane at the moment and was not her right mind, so she acted as if everything was fine and went to get groceries, and she came home seeing her dead husband on the floor. There was no acting necessary. She was only temporarily insane. Imagine if your soulmate was telling you that they want to leave you. How devastated would you be? I would be in shock. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Mary Maloney. That is what Mary Maloney is in right now.
Thank you. Prosecution, do you have witness to call?
We will do Officer Noonan first.
Officer Detective Noonan, you are called to the witness stand, please. Place your right hand on the Bible, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You're a witness.
Hello. Was Mary Maloney genuinely sad when questioning her?
Yes.
Did Mary seem a little staged in her words?
Yes.
When questioning her, did Mary seem fully focused?
No.
Are you close to Patrick Maloney?
Very close.
Had you met Mary before the questioning? If so, how close are you?
Yes. Pretty close.
How long after investigating Mary's house did you realize about the leg of lamb?
That morning.
Did Mary ever hesitate with anything?
Yes. Some things.
Do you care to tell us what?
When they were searching for the weapon.
Thank you. Do you have any knowledge of Detective Maloney struggling with women in the past?
No.
Does Patrick have any other close friends at the workplace that he would tell his troubles to?
No.
Thank you.
step down at this time, Detective Newton. Next witness you'd like to call, please.
Mary.
Mary Maloney, would you take the stand, please? Right hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Your witness.
Mary, why did you kill your husband?
I was in shock.
If you were really in shock, how could you know or remember why you killed him?
You can remember stuff when you're in shock.
Are you an expert in shock?
I could.
Are you?
I don't know.
No is the answer. Did you feel your blood pressure drop?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
To be in shock, according to betterhealth.gov, a drop in blood pressure must take place to reduce the flow of oxygen and nutrients to a person's vital organs, such as their brain, heart, and lungs.
Court will be in order. Continue.
The text says that she couldn't feel anything except a slight nausea and desire to vomit. But how do you know that it was shock?
Usually when you're in shock, you would feel like you want to vomit.
Are you an expert in shock? There you answered this, and it was a no. So now it's changed. Symptoms of pregnancy hormones include nausea and vomiting. I assume that if you were really in shock, you wouldn't have been able to remember anything that happened during this murderous account.
I was in shock.
How do you know?
I felt shock from when he told me he was doing this.
You would not be able to diagnose yourself with shock because you are neither a nurse nor a doctor.
No.
That's not a question. Even the judge said that herself, that when she was in shock, that she didn't remember what happened in the terrible car wreck, but somehow you remember when you murdered your husband.
Yes.
Very well.
Do you wish to cross defense?
Yes.
Very well. Your witness, you are still under oath. Ms. Maloney.
As you have heard before, he said that she did not diagnose herself. Did the psychologist diagnose you?
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Maloney. You may step down. Psychologist, questions? Are you calling the psychologist to write this down? Okay.
Yeah, big words.
Please place your right hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated. Your witness.
How are you related to Mary? I'm a psychologist. Has she ever used you as a psychologist before?
Yes, when she came to for me to diagnose her with shock.
I mean, before this incident.
No.
She never needed a psychologist before, did she?
No.
She obviously wasn't insane because she was able to cook a decent meal without burning herself. I mean, honestly, if the woman was insane, she really wouldn't be able to cook a good dinner, would she?
She would. The type of hypergenic shock It affects the way you think of things, but on stuff that you routinely do, you would be able to remember. It's just you're changed on when to do it and what to do it for.
Okay, but in the story, it said she asked Sam the grocer if he thought that the lamb would be fine if it was cooked frozen, so obviously she wasn't familiar with cooking lamb.
Well, she probably cooked other meats, and lamb's probably similar to those.
But lamb is leaner than most meats.
I have not heard that.
Are all women mentally ill when they are pregnant?
No, but it can be if they're put on too much stress.
From what I found from extended research was that women who are pregnant, even from pregnancy hormones, there is a very little chance that they can be mentally ill. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was Mary Maloney insane?
From which the stories of which she described, yes, she would have been, and the effects lasting from that would last for about 10 to 30 minutes.
10 to 30 minutes. So based on all that happened with her hearing the news and going and eating the lamb and killing her husband and going to the store and coming back, staging everything, calling the police officers, you think that only took 10 to 30 minutes?
It probably took around, maybe, it's just
Plus
depends on how.
all the questions that the officer asked her?
I'll let you know.
In the story, it says several questions that the officers asked her. Do you need some examples?
Yes.
Here's just some questions. One of the detectives asked which grocer, meaning what grocer did she go to cook the lamb? Did she want to lie down? Did she want some dinner? Did she want some TV?
That'd be a question with her, but some of the side effects of that extreme tiredness.
And then it also asked what happened, and she did not tell the truth. So you think she was still in shock after over 30 minutes?
That is possible only on rare occasions.
Okay. The definition of insane includes not knowing right from wrong. Mary obviously knew right from wrong because it says, as the wife of a detective, she knew quite well what the penalty could be. Could pregnancy hormones and a meager alcoholic drink really affect her enough to make her mentally ill?
It depends on the amount of alcohol.
It says in the story that she made a quite weak drink for herself, mostly soda.
Then in that case, it probably wouldn't unless she hasn't had alcohol before.
Okay. Results that I have found from expanded research state that mental illness from pregnancy hormone is quite unlikely. That is correct, right?
Thank you. Defense, would you like to cross-examine?
I would.
In the story, it clearly says that she did not go to the grocery store to get the leg of lamb. She went to the freezer to get the leg of lamb.
She did the lamb from the freezer. The lamb just grew out of the freezer.
Have conversations. Do you have a question for the witness? Thank you.
Can I make an objection?
When they're asking questions.
Okay. So
Is there another witness you'd like to call? Sam the grocer? Please come forward. Please place your right hand on the Bible. You solemnly swear the truth, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be seated. Your witness. How do you know, Mary?
She comes to school every day.
You'll have to use that.
She comes to the store every day.
How long has she been coming and shopping at your store?
A little bit after she was married with Patrick.
How long have they been married?
I do not know.
Did she act any different this time she was at the store? And if so, how?
She seemed a little shy, but unless that, no.
Is she a frequent buyer of lamb?
No, because usually she'll have it with her in her freezer.
Did you give advice on her purchase?
No.
Thank you. Cross-examination? No. Ms. Prosecutor, are you wanting to recall this witness? That means you can come question him yourself. You are still in your name, Mr. Sam.
Okay, so you said that you did not give Miss Maloney any advice about what she bought, correct?
I don't think so.
Huh?
I don't think so.
Did he not just ask you
You did?
and you said no?
Yeah.
Okay, but in the story, in the evidence, it clearly says that she asked you what she should get for her husband for dessert. And you did say to get his cheesecake, correct?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever given her any other advice?
No.
Okay, and do you know where she would get the leg of lamb where she bought it? Because I don't think the leg of lamb just grew out of her freezer, correct?
Yeah.
So, jury, it could be very possible that Miss Maloney had staged this attack even before Mr. Patrick Maloney told her this news. Please think about that.
Thank you. You may be seated. Are there any further witnesses for the prosecution? Okay, defense, do you have your closing statements ready?
Yes.
Members of the jury, you have heard testimony regarding this case, and I am here to tell you the facts. Fact 1. Detective Patrick Maloney was killed with a blunt object. Fact 2. The object was never recovered. Fact 3. No one witnessed his murder or has come forth to say they have. With no murder weapon, no witness, the finger has been pointed to this pregnant wife. I submit you, if Mary Maloney did kill her husband, which has not been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt, she cannot be held accountable for her actions because she was not in her right mind. Due to the state of being pregnant, there is no evidence, no witness. You cannot find Mary Maloney guilty of this crime by reason of insanity or any other reason. Thank you, members.
murdered her husband. It says in the text, at that point, Mary Maloney simply walked up behind him, and without any pause, she swung the big, frozen leg of lamb high in the air and brought it down as hard as she could on the back of his head. The prosecution today has shown you that Mary Maloney is a fraud and not insane, doing the murder deliberately. Today, the defendants have tried to prove that Mrs. Maloney went temporarily insane. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, trust me, Mary Maloney did much wrong to her husband on purpose. Patrick Maloney simply did not love his wife anymore, and Mary's response was taken too far. Patrick was an innocent man, murdered by his cold-blooded wife. Quoting from the text, keep things absolutely natural, and there will be no need for any acting at all. This quote helps to prove that Mary did the action deliberately and not out of shock. Mrs. Maloney was never in shock. She is guilty for killing her husband, Mr. Patrick Maloney. Mary deserves to have many years in prison.
Thank you. Jurors, you may remove yourselves to the juror room and deliberate. I will expect a verdict back in a few minutes.